Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar for certified versus non-certified accountants for the CPA license certification. Just a couple of minutes to allow most of the registrants to have joined, and we will be starting the webinar. All right, so good evening again, and thank you for joining. My name is Charles Abu Saab. I'm Regional Commercial Manager with Morgan International. We will be going through the difference for certified and non-certified accountants, between certified and non-certified accountants, I'm sorry. And just to let you know, I've been allowing everyone to be able to unmute themselves if necessary, but I would please invite you all to make sure you are muted throughout the webinar to minimize any background noises. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the Q&A section or the chat section, and we will be answering as many questions as possible. And close to the end of the webinar, after the presentation, we will have some more room for a verbal question and answers. So thank you so much. I'm going to leave the platform to our CEO, Mr. Fadi Ganni, who will be conducting this information session for you all. Mr. Ganni, the platform is yours.
Thank you, Charles, and welcome everyone. So it's going to be an interesting information session. I'm going to try to explain as much as possible for those who are interested in the CPA. Just before we get started, I want to mention a few things. One is that this presentation is being recorded so we can share it at a later point. The other thing, I want to introduce myself. So my name is Fadi Ganni. I'm a CPA myself. I've been training candidates to sit for the CPA exam for the last 26 years. I'm a lead instructor in the Middle East. I've taught courses across the world, USA, Canada, India, Dubai, KSA, Abu Dhabi, Jordan, all over the world. So I'm going to try to project as much as possible on my experience and give you hints on for those who are interested to move ahead and pursue your certification. So bear with me. I'll answer any questions you have. I encourage everybody to ask questions through chat, and we will answer them towards the end of the presentation. So I'm going to get started. First thing, the agenda for today is is going to be, we're going to talk a bit about the CPA itself, what is the market, what are the skills required. We're going to do a comparison a bit, why you should become certified and what's the difference. Then we get into the CPA exam and the eligibility and how you, and all aspects of how to prepare for the exam. One thing that's very important is that the exam is changing. It's very important to notice that there's a reason why the exam is changing is because the market and what the corporates are asking for and the type of skills required is changing as well with the technology. So I'm going to take 5, maximum 10 minutes just to tell you what's going on in the world of accounting and what are the changes and the skills. And then we'll move ahead. We'll focus on the accounting and the CPA qualification. So let me just close this. So one of the things what we've realized is that there's a shift in the hiring trends. So the accounting firms or the audit firms and non-audit firms, now they are the way they recruit and the way they interview and the type of skills they're looking for have changed. So in many situations, they're hiring non-accountant background for an accounting position. So they're looking at technology, data, analytics. They're looking at people with skills, knowledge about cybersecurity or IT governance and systems and organization control and engagement. So there is a shift in the trends because a lot of now the accounting is being automated. So they're really looking for people who know how to use those softwares, who can make most efficiency of those softwares, and they can utilize tools to analyze the financial statement and come up with recommendation. Cybersecurity, IT governance is an important critical part now of any accounting position. So those are yes. Sorry, we're going to continue talking and we'll answer all the questions toward the end. The other things what we're looking for is they call it the higher order of skills. So they want to recruit people who have critical thinking, they have problem-solving abilities, their analytics. Can we mute everyone, Charles, please?
Yes, working on it, Fadi. Thank you.
Yes, and people who can do research. These are what the accounting firms are looking for. Other aspect, what we're seeing changes is the tasks. If we compare 2022 to what's the projected in 2027, we see a more and more usage of computers. So in 2022, around 34% of the tasks were done by human being, by machines, sorry, by computers and softwares, and 66% by human beings. 2027, we are projecting 43% of the accounting tasks and anything regarding finance is going to be done by softwares, and human is going to be 57%. So there's definitely a change in the skills requirements. The other study that we found out is that there's 44% of the core accounting skills they're going to be changing. So an accountant who graduated 10 years ago is no longer employable in today's world if they don't adapt their skills and their knowledge. 44% of what we need to know is changing in order, and that's based on surveys done and based on research and feedback we got from the multinational corporates. So in summary, if I want to look at what they're looking at in terms of skills, they're looking at analytical skills. So people are able to look at financial statement, analyze, and come up with a recommendation. They're looking at creative thinking. What I mean by creative thinking is finding solutions, automating certain tasks, putting better controls. They're looking at flexibility and agility, which means that the accountants have to be agile and they need to update their knowledge and change things on the go. They're looking at lifelong is very learning, which is becoming very important, is that whoever they're going to hire, they want to make sure that person is eager to continue development and update their skills. Of course, they have to have the technology literacy. We're not saying they're looking for engineers, software engineers, but accountants who are able to make use of softwares and technology and implement them within the organization. People who are dependable and they are attention to details, they have empathy, they're active listening, so they have good communication skills, and they have some kind, they call it quality control. So they make sure whatever they produce is of a high quality and have been tested before conclusions are given. So these are what the companies are looking for. This is based on the World Economic Forum report last year that was done last year. As for the accounting profession to be more focused, the critical items that are impacting us now is big data analytics. So you have a lot of large data, financials, figures, historical figures, market information. They're dumped into a database, and the accountants have to construct budgets, internal control assessment, comparative financial statements. So that's highly needed. The other thing is the automation of financial transaction now with the e-commerce and how the sales are recorded is impacting. Automation, we spoke about it. We're talking about distributed ledger technology, which is started with the cryptocurrency, which we're talking about the blockchain, fintech, and artificial intelligence. All of those now, if you look at the new softwares in the accounting world, AI is an integral part. When they do predictive analysis and forecast, the system can do it themselves based on data and based on what you teach the system what to look for, which data to look at, and how you program it. So AI is an integral part now of those systems. So in a nutshell, within the accounting, they're looking at, first of all, sustainability. So as an accountant, you need to make sure whatever you're producing or forecasting or giving a recommendation to invest is sustainable, not just a recommendation, it's executable and sustainable. People have to be aware about what we mean by machine learning and AI, business intelligence analysts. These are very, within the accounting and finance department, people are being recruited with those skills. Information security analysts, fintech engineers, big data specialists, robotics engineers, and data analyst scientists. If I go backward 15, 20 years ago, I look at an auditing firm or a finance department for a multinational, it was purely made of accounting and finance people. If we look at today's accounting department and moving forward, you're going to have people who are specialized in data analytics. You have people specialized in business intelligence. You have engineers that work with AI to produce certain reports. And you have people who are specialized in cybersecurity to ensure the systems, the transactions are secure. So things are changing. The world is changing. The accounting profession is changing. So moving forward, my advice for every accountant is that you need to embrace the AI technology and the software. You need to have an understanding when they talk about AI, what does it mean? I myself, I'm a CPA. I did my exam in 1994. And today, my main focus is understanding all those terminology, understanding what we mean by AI in accounting and how they fit together. So this is all information available online. You need to get familiar with that, understanding different AI methodologies, how they are implemented in the accounting and finance world across various departments and functions. They're looking at you should be more focused. Accounting, the expectation is that you need to be more focused on complex, judgment-based, value-added accounting. So the debit and the credit and producing the financial statement is no longer required from the typical accountant. That's all can be done by a computer. What's required from you now is to look at those numbers and make judgments and add value to the accounting routine tasks. Of course, client relationships, and be able to work with the limitation of technology, and ethics remain an integral part of whatever we do. So the market is changing, the profession is changing, and the CPA exam is changing. So there's a lot of changes going on in the world of accounting and finance. How you fill the gap is definitely by, like I mentioned before, you need to reskill yourself, you need to upskill. These are the top priorities for finance and accounting departments for the next 5 years, and in order to evolve with the changes in the markets. And as well, the actual CPA exams and official exams are changing. So one of the ways you can bring yourself up to date is definitely going through a professional qualification, CPA, CMA, CFA, whatever it is, your career path. There is not one better than the other, but this is something of a great importance. Now, let's move a bit about the CPA. Having explained those changes, starting 2024, starting as of January of 2024, the exam have changed as well. A big section of the exam is now tests on technology. There's a whole section about information security and control, and I will demonstrate it for you as I go along the professional qualification. So the next question I want to address is that a lot of people say two accountants, one is certified and one is not certified. What's really the difference? If I want to summarize it in a very simple manner, is those who are certified, they belong to a professional association. So they are kept up to date. They have resources, they can access them, one. And second is their skills have been tested by a third party. So it gives the confidence to the firms that those people have the skills to carry the job. Now, definitely this comes with better salary, faster promotion, and a better career path for those who are certified. And there are some jobs, if you're not certified, you cannot do them. And I give you a few examples about that. So if you want to work in the audit, external audit, you have to be certified. Whether it's a US CPA or the UK or British ACA, you have to have a license. The firm will not, you will not reach a managerial position if you are not certified. You'll just be out of the company. They do stuff that typical accountant, non-certified, they don't do. For example, financial forensic, when you're going and there's a fraud and they hire accountants to detect the fraud and come up with conclusions, usually you have to be licensed to do that. Business valuation, most of business valuation are done by certified accountant, CPAs. Personal financial planning, IT consulting. When I talk about IT consulting, I'm talking financial systems, implementation and testing the security, the internal controls. Usually you have to be CPA. Auditing, definitely external financial reporting and providing audit opinion, you have to be certified. This is a must. A non-certified accountant usually work within the company and they produce the reports internally. So mostly certified licensed CPAs, what they do is they render an opinion, they do internal control assessment, and they produce audit. And of course, when you're talking about business valuation, that's an external report. If you're non-certified, they usually work in the private sector, not in the auditing. And you can work in internal auditing or management accounting, budgeting, budget analysis, or tax accounting. For tax, usually you don't have to be a CPA if you're a tax preparer. But if you're doing tax planning, then you have to be a CPA. So it's usually the main difference is that licensed CPA work exclusively for external parties to make a decision on whatever they produce, while Non-certified, they work within the organization itself, producing management reports, budgets, and analysis. This is the main difference in that section. Of course, certified earns way more than non-certified, and the certified can do both jobs, the external and the internal that I discussed in the previous slide. Things that only CPAs can do is auditing financial statement, preparing audit financial statements. If you want to represent your client in front of the IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Service, or the tax authorities, you have to be certified. Usually you earn more, and most of the multinationals now require that you are certified if you want to hold a high position. So if you're a junior audit accountant or a chief accountant, you really don't need to be certified. But if you want to reach out the post of head of internal audit, or your VP finance, or your CFO, you really need to be certified. And on an average, those who are certified, they earn higher. The average salary now in the last study was around $134,000 a year. And the expectation for the demand of accountant is going to continue to grow until the year 2028. When I say 134,000, this is a median national salary. So in some countries, it could be lower. In some countries, it could be higher, but this is on a global basis. One important aspect, we're saying that growth will continue to 2028. Latest study we found out is that the growth is going to continue further than 2028, but it's going to be dependent on the new skills that I've addressed in the first half of this presentation. So literally, universities are failing to adapt to the new market requirements. And this is why more and more now people are going towards professional qualification, because they're filling that gap. Because when you go to a university and you're studying you're an accounting or finance major, you're not going to go into depth about data analytics, financial modeling, predictive analysis, big data, AI. They're really not still taught within the standard accounting curriculum. And universities are slow. We know that they're slow to adapt because of accreditation and bureaucracy. Now, this is why a lot of the accounting firms now, they say, you know what, we will hire people if they are licensed even without a university degree. So some of the companies now, they say having a bachelor degree or a master's degree is not a must. If you have those skills and we test you on those skills, we will hire you. So where to start? For those who are interested in the CPA, let me talk a bit about the exam itself and the requirements and who study. I want to focus most of the time is answering all your relevant questions. So people think that the CPA exam is very difficult. You cannot pass. Anyone can pass the exam. There are certain criteria. If you're using the right methodologies, you have the right tools to prepare for the exam, you should be able to pass it. If you don't have the right tools and you don't have the techniques or the methodology how to prepare for those exams, you can be really lost and walk into the exam and you don't pass. So as a first stage, you need to qualify whether you are eligible to sit for the exam or you're not eligible. And the eligibility is determined on one thing, is your educational background. If you want to sit for your CPA exam, you have to have a bachelor degree, a minimum of a bachelor degree with a major in accounting. When I say major in accounting, you have to have around 15 credits of an accounting. This is the entry. So you're still not a license, you are eligible to sit for the exam. We'll guide you through that. In order to have the name CPA, the title CPA next to your name, you need to meet two additional criteria. You need to pass a 4-part examination, and you have to provide experience, between 2 or 3 years of experience. Experience can be obtained before sitting the exam or after sitting for the exam. So Just to make it simple, to qualify, you have to have a university degree, major in accounting. This is to qualify to sit for the exam. To have the title, you have to pass the exam and provide the experience requirement. International experience, it is recognized. That's the first critical thing. So we spoke about the education. It has to be from accredited university and major in accounting. For the license, some of the states, they might require additional credits, but I'm not going to address them in today's presentation because it varies from one state to the other. Like I mentioned, the experience varies between 1 and 3 years, and the experience can be obtained internationally, and it can be before or after sitting for the exam. So you should not worry about the exam. And the last part is you need to pass the 4 part of examination. So how do you start? How do you do all of this? First step is you need to bring your official transcript from the university. We have to have a look at it to see if you are eligible and which state you are eligible for. Once we determine that, then we have to go through the entire process. One is that we need to do official evaluation of your transcript. We'll send it to the US. They will evaluate it, and they would say this degree is equivalent to a US. You're a major in accounting. And then we have the approval, the official letter from the evaluating body saying you are eligible. Then we will decide on the state board. We will apply for the fees, for the examination fees for that state board. There are certain forms that we will fill. And then we will, once we've done that, we will receive something called notice to schedule, NTS. So this, it means that you have been accepted to sit for the exam, your paper is in order, and now you need to schedule the exam. So the exam is given on a daily basis, internationally, across the world, and then you have to decide on which date and which part of the exam you want to sit for. The entire process takes between 3 to 6 weeks to complete. So this is all, we'll guide you through it. All what you need to do is, at the first stage, is you need to come with your official transcript, or so we can have a look at it and start the process from there. Now, let's talk a bit about the exam, because there is a lot of changes going on. It's a new examination. It's completely new. So the exam is still 4-part examination. You have to sit for 4 parts. And now they've been divided between something we call discipline and the core. So what are the core? What we mean by the core, like every candidate has to sit for those 3 exams. They are financial accounting, they are auditing, and regulation. So every person sitting for the CPA exam have to sit for the core, which is the financial accounting, audit, and regulation. And then they have to choose 1 out of 3 from the discipline. Each part of the exam is 4 hours. So you have a 16 hours examination. What is the sequence you start with? It doesn't matter. You can start with the regulation, or you can start with the financial accounting or the audit. It doesn't really matter. But we will give you a recommendation. What is the best approach? A minimum passing rate is 75%. The exam is scored between 0 and 99. And you need to score a minimum of 75. And once you pass 1 part, you have, it used to be 18 months. Now you have 30 months to complete the remaining 4 parts. So if you sit for the financial accounting and you pass the financial accounting, you are required to clear the remaining 3 exams within 30-month period. The exam is made usually of 5 different testlets. So you have multiple choice question testlet 1, multiple choice question testlet number 2, and then you have multiple question testlet number 3, 4, and 5. And of course, there are breaks in between. We'll talk more about it. And then you have task-based simulation. So I'll take you through it. So the exam will assess you on various aspects. It will assess you on how you do the evaluation of problems. It will assess you on how you do the analysis of the situation, how you apply it, and in some part of the exam, there's remembering and understanding. So any question can test you either on the evaluation or the analysis or the application or remembering and understanding, and it could be a combination of any. And this is, you don't need to worry about. It comes natural when you are preparing for the exam. So like I mentioned, there are three parts that are core. What are the core? So financial accounting and reporting, which is, we call it the FAR, it's a 4 hours exam. It's a core exam. Everybody has to sit for it. It's made into 3 different subtopics. Financial reporting is one topic. Select balance sheet accounts is another topic. And select transaction is a third topic. You will require between 80 and 100 hours of studying. The exam is made of 50 multiple choice questions and 7 task-based simulation. So 50 multiple choice question, 7 task-based simulation. It's all computer graded. If I compare the financial accounting in 2024 to the previous years, it's an easier exam. It's smaller because they removed some parts and they've added it on other parts of the exam. And usually those topics you are exposed to at the university level. So you learn about income statement items, what's revenue, what's an expense, what's a recognized revenue, what's a deferred revenue. You learn about balance sheet items, fixed asset, long-term, short-term, shareholders' equity, all items in a balance sheet, income statement, and statement of cash flow and shareholders' equity. All those line items is covered under the financial accounting and reporting. The second core part is the auditing and attestation. Again, it is 4 hours. You require between 80 and 100 hours of studying, and it's divided into 4 sections, which is ethics, professional responsibilities, and general principles. Then the second part is about the audit itself. So it's about how you assess risk and how you develop a planned response. So how you look at the risk, you test the internal control, and then you set the engagement for the audit, and how you do testing of further procedures to obtain evidence that will support your opinion. And the final one is conclusion and report. So when you come to a conclusion, there's different audit reports. You can produce a clean audit report. You might have a disclaimer in the audit reports. You learn that through the course. Here, there's more multiple choice questions. So 78 multiple choice questions and 7 task-based simulation. What we mean by task-based simulation is a big case and several questions related to it. It could be anything. The last one in the core is taxation and regulation. It is 72 multiple choice question, 8 task-based simulation, 80 to 100 hours, made up of business law, federal taxation for individuals, federal taxation for entities. So it's all about taxes for corporates, individuals, and state. And of course, ethics is part of this part of the exam. Again, if I compare this exam to the previous exams, it's shorter, it is easier. So these are all the exams that you have to sit for in the core part. Now, what's interesting is the disciplines. You have to choose 1 out of 3. The first part is business analysis and reporting. Remember at the beginning of the presentation, I was talking about data analytics. I was talking about critical thinking, and this is where it's covered in this part. So this part is about business analysis, technical accounting and reporting, and state and local governments. This is a longer part than the previous part. It's 100 to 120 hours of studying, 50 multiple choice question, and 7 task-based simulation. The feedback that we've been getting is that this is the most difficult part and the longest part. Accounting firms, auditing firms, they like this part because it includes business analysis and you dig deeper into data analytics and financial reporting. Again, this is the bar. This is one of the options you can go for. The other option you can choose is information system and control. So here we're talking about mostly technology. We're talking about information system and data management, security, confidentiality, and privacy, and consideration for system organization, controls, and engagements. So it's all related to cybersecurity, internal controls, information, data management. It's 60 to 80 hours. It's a short exam. It's a short content, 82 multiple choice questions, and 6 task-based simulation. And the last option you can choose for is tax compliance and planning. So if you want to become a tax expert, this is the part you'll choose. It's a short one, 60 to 80 parts, 60 to 80 hours of studying. You will go into tax compliance and planning, entity tax compliance. So it's mostly about compliance and planning and property transactions. 68 multiple choice question, 7 task-based simulation. Now, in the core part, we already covered taxes. As an accountant, certified public accountant, it's enough what you need to know. But if you like to specialize more in taxes, you choose this discipline. In this part of the world, outside the US, we don't think there will be a lot of demand unless you are working for a US company. And if this is not the case, this is really about tax compliance and planning. Mostly it's people who are residing and working in the US, they will require that section. So my advice, you either choose the bar or the ISC. Now, how to choose which one and which skills? So very simple. If you're looking for skills in data analysis, financial risk management and planning, technical accounting and reporting, and state and local governmental accounting, then the bar is the right discipline for you. And what are the opportunities if you want to work as an auditor, or you want to work in an accounting department, or financial controller, CFO, chief accountant? It's mostly demanded by the Big Four as well. The bar section, it is the most difficult part. So here you go way more into you go more into sorry, I just need Shadi, can you hang up, please? You go more into accounting, financial accounting, and transactions. Now, if you are looking at information system and control, so if you're looking for skills regarding data management, information system, information security, business processes, system organization and control engagement, then this is the right part for you. You can be a data manager, data engineer, scientist, chief information officer, chief technology officer, IT auditor. So if you're more of a tech person, technology, accounting and technology, this is the right part for you. And the last discipline, what you learn, the skills, is the tax. So if you want to be advanced in tax compliance, personal financial planning, advanced tax compliance for entities or individuals or property transaction, and you want to have a title as a tax analyst or tax compliance officer, or you work within the tax department, then this will be the right choice for you. I'm just giving you, I'm trying to make it easy for you to know what to pick. So what is your study plan and what we suggest? Again, it depends on what discipline you choose. So if you select the bar as your discipline, we recommend you take the FAR, the bar, the audit, and the regulation. Always, this is one route. You start with the FAR, you move into the bar, audit, and regulation. If you want to take only 2 parts at a time, we recommend that you take the FAR and the bar together because they're very, I would say they complement each other, and you take the regulation and the audit together. If you choose ISC as your main discipline, okay, and you have more choices. You can go FAR, regulation, audit, and ISC, or you can go FAR, audit, ISC, and regulation. So you always combine either the FAR with the audit or the FAR with the regulation. ISC and the audit, they go well together. So whenever ISC, because it's information system and controls and audit, testing, internal controls, they go hand in hand. And if you choose tax, then we recommend you take the FAR, the audit, the regulation, and the TCP together. So FAR and audit together, and regulation and TCP together, if you're planning to take 2 parts at a time. Now, let's talk a bit about what platform you'll be using and how you prepare. So we've been we train using the Becker platform, which is the most advanced and most well known in the world. You have 1 million candidates who have used the system. We have exclusivity in the US with the largest 100 accounting firms in the US. Strictly, they deal with Becker. 90% of award winners on the CPA exam are Becker students, and we have more than 2,900 companies we work and corporates and a license that they use the Becker. We have the highest passing rate, and we have the shortest courses to help you pass the exam. So we have something called the Becker bump. So what we mean by that is that 94% your chance, if you meet specific criteria, and we call it exam readiness. So if you are exam ready, your chances of passing the exam is 94%. But not everybody has a 94% passing rate. You have to be exam ready. And exam ready has certain requirements where you have to do the homework 3 times. You have to be scoring 90% on the previous exam questions. And you have to have, the system will tell you if you're exam ready or not, but there's specific criteria that you have to meet. So what do you get with us is you have the choice of getting either unlimited access or limited access for 2 years. You will have 400 task-based simulation questions to practice on. There's a mobile app that we will give it to you. You have 400 skill videos as well. So we have 400 task-based simulation to practice, 400 skill build videos that takes you step by step on how to solve the questions. We have printed textbooks and digital books with notes from the instructors. You'll have digital flashcards. The system has AI. I'll talk about it. You will receive more than 7,000 plus multiple choice questions. All of those you need to practice on. We have 200 videos from our US instructors that will explain the content for you. 12 mini exams and 8 full simulated exams. So you live that experience. We have a database of question answers with thousands of solutions. So if you have a question, we have instructors, live instructors teaching you. They are certified. And for those who want to find a review, we can do that. But most importantly, you have access to our academic support in the US. So you have a full-blown system that help you prepare for those exams. So I summarized it. You have different packages. I'm not going to go into this, but the packages will include all the tools that you need. The only difference is whether you want to have a final review with the course or not, and you want to have a CPE subscription or not, or limited or unlimited access. So all the students, they get the same content. So you will get access to the system. You have the skill practice videos and the skill master videos. You have homework assignment, progress test, so you can see your progress and how you're doing. And you have exam simulation for each section of the course, not only at the final stage, but throughout the course. Again, the system has adapt-to-you technology, which is an AI integrated. So you will do a pre-assessment of the topic, and the system will understand what's your weakness on that topic, and then it start throwing on information for you to help you in your areas of weakness. So everyone, when they come to class, everyone have the same number of lectures, same sequence, same everything. Everybody has access to the same system. But when you go home and you start practicing, not 2 people will have the same type of content. So if person X is weak in a specific area, the system will focus on their areas of strength and will skip the areas where that person is strong at. and vice versa. So it's really individualized experience. So what we mean by the adapt to you technology, which is the AI, is system will learn, they will assess your proficiency, where's the knowledge gap, and based on the knowledge gap, it's throwing to you new content and repeats contacts where you are weak at, and areas where you're strong at, it will skip them. So you have a scoring. So this is one lecture called F1. This is the first lecture. Within the lecture, there are different topics. We call them module. Module 1, Module 2, Module 3. So the system will give you stars on your mastery of that topic. And this is just a screenshot of the actual system. These are the 400, when I spoke about skill master videos, it gives you how to deconstruct the problem, how to solve it, and tips how you apply the concepts. It takes you line by line item. Then we have the simulated exams, which is the actual replica of the actual exams. So you have 3 simulated exams per section. There are 2 main ones that you are scored on, and you will have the answers and the explanations. And you have a study planner that will give it to you based on your workload. The system will tell you how you should manage your time, and it allocates it according to a study plan. If you need further assistance, we can provide you with a final review. So few tips from previous experience. Anyone can pass the exam, but you have to be serious about it. So if you're coming in, you're trying your luck, you're not going to pass. If you're coming in and you're serious about it, you will pass. And what is the effective exam preparation? One is that you have to stay up to date. So because the course progress, we start from the beginning and we progress as we deliver the courses. So you have to stay up to date, because every week we'll be giving you new information. If you start falling behind, it's going to be very difficult for you to catch up. You have to put a study plan for sure. You have to practice every question we provide you minimum of 3 times, and you have to stick to the daily goals. And if you want to join a study group, you can do that. We can connect you with that, and you have access to the system anywhere. So the most important thing is to focus really on solving previous exam questions more than the theory. So you need to set aside at least 2 to 4 hours per week after classes, after everything, in order to study. You have an average of 8 hours of studying per week of lecture time. So our lectures are given twice a week. You need to focus on the multiple choice question and task-based simulation. That's where your focus. You need to practice all the mock exams, and you only review the textbooks where you have trouble. So don't focus on the theory and the content and try to memorize. Focus on solving previous exam questions. And of course, just 1 week before the exam, you need to start relaxing and taking it easy. The license, I don't think we need to speak about it. But once you pass the exam, you need to take continuing education in order to maintain your license. And I'm not going to address that. This is a general overview I tried to give. I'm going to give time to answer all your questions. One thing I want to really stress about is that the new exam is not more difficult. It's just different topics you'll be tested on. And this is to accommodate, like I've mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, of what is the market requirements. The other thing is that when you're really preparing, don't hear the rumors, and it's difficult. It is, anybody can pass as long as you use the tools and you focus on solving previous exam questions. This is about it for me. I'm going to answer some of the questions here. Charles, I don't know if you've answered or how you want to go about it, Charles.
I'm going over most of the questions, Mr. Fadi, but one of the questions would be interesting to answer verbally. It's from a candidate asking which certification might be better suited for her, if it's the CPA or the CMA, being a finance manager in an international organization. So she's not entirely sure which one might be better. So I presume we should we could just explain the difference in the target duties of a CMA holder versus a CPA holder.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me. This is always we ask for. Which is more important? Is it the CPA or the CMA? I work in this. There's not one qualification better than the other. I'll give you a simple example. I always use it with candidates. In your view, what is more important, a heart surgeon or a lung surgeon? Which is more important? If you have problem in your heart, or which doctor is more important? They're both doctors. It depends what you want to specialize in. So there's no more important qualification for the other. If your objective is to be in audit, external financial reporting, definitely the CPA is the right qualification for you. If you want to work within the organization and you're responsible as a finance manager, CFO, or you're dealing with budgets, it's both. You can either go for the CPA or the CMA. It's a choice. Both can do the role. So the difference between CPA and CMA is that the CPA can do the role external financial reporting and have the expertise to work as a CFO or within the organization. CMA goes more into risk management, budgeting, cost management. So it really depends on your role and what skills you're looking for. Both are highly respectful. If your aim is audit, definitely the CPA. CMA is slightly easier exam than the CPA, and it's shorter. So again, are you willing to go through 4 parts examination versus CMA? It's a two-part examination. So I would say the CMA is slightly easier than the CPA. I hope I answered the question. Another question, Charles?
I've pretty much covered most of the questions. I'll answer the ones related to fees and other questions on the chats.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Let me
Most of the
answer a
questions
few
were answered
questions
in the
here.
slide.
Just how much is your fee and the exam fee? Okay, I cannot give you a general statement because we have different packages and different pricing in different regions. So do you want the advantage package, the pro package, or the premium package? Do you want to attend the live online course or you want to attend the live? And in which city you are? We have various packages. We will address it. We need to know your feedback, first of all, what package you're looking for, which country you are in, what is the channel, live or self-study or live online. So Charles will be getting back to you on all those details. The other question is
we have a question in the Q&A section. Is the ACCA or the CPA more simple?
Okay, I will answer that. But I was answering another question is, which U.S. state is easy and acceptable in the whole world, and also exemption okay. So the first question is that it's a one uniform exam. So whether you sit for the exam in New York or you sit for the exam in New Hampshire or Boston or any of the state boards, there's not one exam easier than the other. It is the same exam. It is managed by the AICPA. The state board is the state board is where they're giving you the license. But a CPA in New York or a CPA in Boston, they've gone through the same exam, same requirements. So really, the exam does not vary between one state and the other. The other question is about if you are ACCA, do you have an exemption for the CPA? No, you don't have an exemption. So the CPA does not give any exemption, neither for ACCA nor for the CMA. The only exemption there are, and it's really not exemption, is that there is a reciprocity arrangement between Canadian Chartered Accountant and the US CPA. And there are certain criteria to meet it. So if you're a Canadian CA working in Canada and move to the US and you want to become a CPA, you only sit for the specific exam you sit for. So, and vice versa, but there's specific requirements to do that. So that's okay. So we have a question here. I graduated with a technical degree. Can I register for the CPA program? We need to know more about the CPA degree. I need to know more. You have to contact our office. So we need to know whether this technical degree is 2 years or 3 years, and do you have an experience requirement or not? Probably you might not be qualified if it's a technical and not academic, but before I can conclude, I need to look at it. You're most probably suited for the CMA exam. How much is your, do you accommodate? So there's a question is, do we accommodate US to get jobs in the US or UAE? Okay, good question. Do we accommodate for US jobs in the UAE or US? So you don't need Morgan to accommodate for US jobs. If you pass the exam and you're licensed, they will come to you and hunt you, whether in the US or it is in the UAE. There's a shortage of accountants, there's shortage of skills. So some companies or some course providers, they might be saying that, if you take the course with us, we'll find you a job and we accommodate you a job. This is all marketing. You don't need any of us. If you have your US CPA and you put it on LinkedIn, people will gonna be coming after you. And we are in touch with the corporates. So they reach out to us and ask about, do you have fresh graduates or people with experience? And usually if we have CVs, we do forward it to them. But you really don't need that. You don't need to worry about that if you pass the exam. These are phone numbers. I think there's no more questions. Any other question?
Concerning the difference between, not the difference, which one would be easier, a CPA or an ACCA? If I may answer this one, Mr. Ganni?
Yeah, go ahead. And there's another question about the experience. Go ahead about the
Yeah.
difference between.
So basically, I wouldn't say either is simpler than the other. So it's not like ACCA might be easier or the CPA might be easier. They are two very valuable accounting and auditing certifications. One is more focused on British IFRS concepts, and the other is more focused on US GAAP concepts. So it depends where your target working environment or working market would be. One would be more in demand than the other. That's for one. There's a completely different structure between both certifications. The ACCA requires you to pass 13 paper exams, while the CPA is 4 parts. I mean, yes, some papers might be simpler than the parts, but overall, you will basically have the same learnings in the end. Eligibility requirements and potential exemptions from the ACCA are something to be studied on case-by-case basis. There is no general consensus on which one might be easier or not.
Yeah. Just
All
to
right?
add, Charles, just to add on you, Charles, is that the methodology differs. So with the ACCA, you don't have to have a university degree. So you start with the foundation and you move forward. While with the CPA, you have to have a university degree. So with the ACCA, a lot of the topics in the foundation that you study, and the CPA, they assume it's an acquired knowledge because you have covered them at the university level. So they're both good. It's a different approach, totally different approach to what to the profession. That's one aspect. They're both good. They're both Anglo-Saxon in the accounting world. The best qualification or certification is the Anglo-Saxon and not the French. That's for sure. There's not one more simple than the other. The only simplicity about the ACA is there's no eligibility requirements. You don't need a university degree, but then if you don't have it, it's a longer path. There's a question here about CMA is easy for a person having MBA and human resource. Yes. So if you don't have an accounting major and you are a business major in HR, I'll highly recommend the CMA and not the CPA. That's for sure. So definitely you go for you definitely go for the CMA. We have a question here is that what are the criteria for international students who want to take the CPA exam in Saudi Arabia? There's no specific criteria. It's the same criteria worldwide. You need to have a university degree major in accounting. If you have that, you forward your transcript, we look at it, and if you're eligible, we start the process. And you can sit for the exam in Saudi Arabia. You don't have to travel to the US. There's examination centers across Saudi Arabia. So it's very simple. What is your educational background? We need a copy of your degree and the courses, and we'll start the process.
Another interesting question, Mr. Ganni, about the experience. So is experience within a company accepted even if a candidate is not a CPA? Well, if you're talking about having the necessary experience to earn the license, well, obviously you wouldn't be a CPA already. So a certain level of experience will be required for certain state boards. It might vary between 1 and 3 years. However, some state boards require it to be under the supervision of a certified CPA, and other state boards might accept it under a non-certified CPA supervisor.
But I want to comment on that. Even if you have, there are two things. One is that if you're working in auditing and it's a licensed firms, you should be okay. Like if you're working with E&Y or Price Waterhouse or Deloitte or KPMG, that experience, because usually the partner somewhere along the firm, there's a partner with a CPA, so you don't have that. Even if you're working in a company that does not have a CPA, which is very rarely, any person who is CPA holder can verify your experience. Though you're not reporting to him, as long as that person have a CPA license and can audit, saying that if you claim you have 2 years experience doing this function, and that person can verify that, yeah, you've done that, even if you're not under his supervision, they can sign off on your experience. So they're making it easier on the experience requirements. So we have a question here, 4-year bachelor degree in finance. I am eligible. Probably you are eligible. I need to look at how many accounting courses you've taken and how many finance courses, but in general, you are eligible.
So for eligibility support and criteria, guys, as Mr. Fadi mentioned earlier in the presentation, it's very different per state board, and it might be different per candidate also, depending on their available degrees and university transcripts and courses taken. So please do reach out to our local Morgan office in your city, and our support team will certainly walk you through the eligibility process. Another question I would like to answer, what's the benefit of studying with Morgan as opposed to studying with Becker? Well, actually, studying with Morgan will give you both benefits of studying with Morgan's expert faculty during Morgan classes, as well as having the Becker access to study with it. Keep in mind that the Becker study material is also available for a self-study option. Whoever feels they have the capability of studying at their own pace and understanding the content on their own and preparing for the exam, the Becker software is more than sufficient to help you do that. But if you feel like you need someone to guide you through the content, help you practice it better, help you explain it and apply it better, then you could also use the benefit of the Morgan classes.
Yeah, I might just add, Morgan is Becker in the region, so we follow the same standards. The only difference is that and you have access to the US instructors at Becker as well. The only difference is that we have local instructors that speak your language and gone through your experience. But in the system, we have additional lectures more than Becker, because some of the topics is new to the Candace in the Middle East. When we talk about taxes, Becker runs it very quickly because everybody is exposed to them. So, but we are the same. I mean, if you go back to Becker, they're gonna send you back to Morgan. We're the same organization. There's a question here that somebody with banking and finance major worked for 4 years. Are you eligible? In principle, you should be eligible, but again, we need to look at your transcript. We want to know how many accounting courses you've taken in your undergraduate and how many finance courses to be able to answer you. But from on a high level, you should be eligible. There's another question is, where should we send the degree? The degree has to be sent to, depending on the state board, either to the state board itself, they have a West, which is for evaluation, or fax. So depending on which state board, we can give you the address for that. And it's usually digitally sent now. Any other
one more question I would like to answer. If I travel to the US, would you be able to offer courses at different times to accommodate the time zone difference? Well, most certainly, because our offices in Canada also are offering CPA courses on the Canadian and US time zone. So if you do travel, you can join CPA classes with our Canadian office on the more convenient schedule to that time zone. Even if you feel like you would like to join our local area classes, you can still do that if the timing would be convenient to you. And that's the beauty of working with Morgan. We operate in over 28 countries across the globe. So wherever you are in the world, we can provide you with the necessary courses at a convenient timing.
Any other question?
I'm looking. No, they've mostly all been answered.
Okay.
Well, again, just a quick brief response to everybody worried about the eligibility. Please, you can either visit our website at morganintl.com and you can easily get in touch with your local office for support, or you could get in touch with our international unit and they will also provide you with the necessary support, and they will advise you exactly where to send all the necessary documentation, and we will walk you through the eligibility and evaluation process.
Well, thank you, Charles, for your support. I want to wish everyone the best of luck. Remember, any one of you can pass the exam. You just have to be determined and you have to take it seriously. Don't fall for rumors that there's an instructor who will help you pass the exam or this instructor will make you pass. At the end of the day, the effort is on you. Our job is to explain the content for you, give you the right tools in order to help you through that journey. But the hard work is from your side. So there's no one instructor who will make you pass or fail. It's not a magic stick. It's a formula. If you follow that formula, you will pass. You just have to be dedicated, serious, and really motivated to get that certification. I want to wish you, thank you for attending. Any questions, feel free to communicate with us. And thank you for your time.
So thank you again, everyone, for joining. Hopefully this was an informative session for you. Like I said, please feel free to visit our website. It has a lot of information, and through the website, you could always reach any of our local offices around you, and everyone will be more than happy to provide you the necessary support. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.